Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in to another episode of the Penny Bloom Podcast. It is I, Colton Robertson, and we continue our 52-year journey through film. We've spent a lot of time on this week. A lot of time on 1994. We're almost done. We got Friday and Saturday, but today's Thursday, baby, and we're talking Pulp Fiction. I am joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
What up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you. We are also joined by Tavarus Pennington. What's up, homie?
How's it going? Glad to be here.
Oh, I am glad to have you. Of course, today we are talking Pulp Fiction from the year 1994. Let me lay the groundwork real quick. It was released in October of 1994, October 14th, 1994, and it is written and directed by Quentin Tarantino. And it's arguably Tarantino's most remembered, most revered, most notable in the eyes of many. And it is our first stop on the Tarantino train as far as the 52-year journey through film is concerned here. And what a place to start with him, you know. This is a good movie. It's a good movie. Let me hear how you guys feel. Let's start with Joe real quick.
Well, this was my first viewing of this movie. I know, crazy. I went this long in my life without seeing Pulp Fiction.
Worst things to have gone longer without seeing.
I've heard of this movie. That's for sure. I think everyone has heard of Pulp Fiction. It's kind of like the stereotypical, if you're a film student, your favorite film is Pulp Fiction or whatever. Like, it's always been like this or I've known it as like, it's just a really good movie, and like people consider it as like one of the greatest and like a classic and best of all time. Or I know it as like the meme of being like, you're a super film critiquist if your favorite.
Oh yeah, and it's notoriously like men. Like,
yeah.
Oh
I
yeah.
see why.
A guy's favorite movie will be Pulp Fiction, and it's like you know, it kind of like I get it. You know, there are plenty of dudes who are like, yeah, Pulp Fiction, the Joker. But it kind of sucks because this movie is pretty good, you know, and I hate whenever like I think about it, like feeling guilty for liking it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't feel guilty about liking this. I mean, it's crass in all of the right ways. You know, it's meant to push the needle.
It's Pulp Fiction. You know, that's the defining characteristic of this. It's all about the violence and the gore and the in your face crime. We're going to do some fucked up shit, and you're going to have to look at it.
A little bit of the ultra violence,
and that's why I see this film working not even on a plot level so much or a story structure level, but it's just kind of
definitely not on a plot level.
Yeah, right. It's not. It's working more so on a emotional level in the sense that it reflects sort of life and this like very mundane nature, and then these immediate and like very rash. I don't know, just like eruptions of violence that happen throughout the film.
Yeah, I this was my first time watching the movie in a few years. I watched it a couple years back, and I've held it in pretty high regard. I remember coming off it the first time I watched it and being like, that's a top 10 favorite movie of all time for me. And I'm sitting here, and I don't think that's the case anymore. But I also thought to myself going into this watch that like maybe I'll understand it more, and that was not the case either. It was like, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's not much to understand. There's not really a plot, and that I get more now than I did then. I get now that the point wasn't to have a story, because it's very loose. And it's mostly just a series of events happening to these people. And, it's really fascinating. We always think Pulp Fiction, Samuel L. Jackson, John Travolta, Uma Thurman. I don't know why. I forgot an hour of screen time is dedicated to Bruce Willis.
I had no idea he was in this movie before I watched it at all. I have only heard of Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta. Like, those are really the only two that I knew were in this movie. And then I've obviously just from the poster, I've seen this poster hundreds and thousands of times. I didn't know her character anything, but I knew she was in this movie just from the poster. But John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson, that's all I knew were in this movie before I came in. But man, I mean, it was just I knew. It's weird, watching Batman, a longer movie, because this is a pretty long movie.
Yeah, 2.5 hours.
Watching Batman, it doesn't feel like a 2.5 hour movie. It doesn't feel long.
This is a trek.
It kind of is a trek. But I didn't stop. I didn't take a break. I needed to finish this. I couldn't put it down. So even though it felt long-ish, it was still very captivating, and it kept me in the entire time.
That's kind of what keeps you into it, is you're like, why am I continually interested in something that an hour in, I still have no clue what's going on, yet I'm willing to watch another hour.
Yeah, for real. I mean, they kicked the movie off on a hot note,
That scene is still just one of my favorite scenes of all time.
Oh, yeah. It's something about the simplicity of just and I think Tarantino excels at just showing people doing shit, putting people on camera, just having normal, or maybe not normal conversations, but conversations that make these men feel more normal, like John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson talking about all the different ways to say quarter pounder across the world. They call it a Royale with cheese.
The metric system.
Yeah, they don't have the metric system out there. How about I will say this is probably my favorite John Travolta role. Almost certainly. I mean, right up there with Bolt, the animated dog.
Yeah, I was just trying to think, what else is John Travolta in?
Grease. Saturday Night Fever.
We had a podcast a while back where we
John Travolta.
John Travolta was controversial for some reason. Yeah, it's Scientology.
Yeah, he's a Scientologist. Yeah, so definitely don't fuck with John Travolta on a personal level.
No, but that's so weird. I totally forget. Everybody knows Tom Cruise is a Scientologist. Nobody really cares that John Travolta is a Scientologist.
Yeah, he's a character, to be sure.
Yeah, I don't know. This is kind of the only, other than Grease, the only other movie that I've seen of his. And I don't know. Out of Grease, I don't know. I'd say I like this performance more than his Grease one, but I haven't seen Grease in probably a good 15 years or so. So
yeah,
I have no idea. But
why not? You mean you don't watch Grease every weekend?
No, I can't say I do.
It's an every other weekend thing for me.
I can. I think it's pretty. My favorite performance was Samuel L. Jackson, by far. I felt like this was his movie. If I were to pick a main character, I don't know. It's Samuel L. Jackson for a part, and then Bruce Willis for a part. They have their moments, and then the culmination and everything. I loved.
Here's my thing: is that it's a 2.5 hour movie, and it is a trek. I hold very little to no interest in Bruce Willis's story in this movie, and I think it could be altogether eliminated, and we could have an 1.5 hour movie, and it'd be every bit as good.
I don't know. The end with him and who was the crime boss? Marcellus Wallace, right? Was it Wallace?
Yeah.
Like that end culmination was like his whole like how it wrapped up was kind of cool, and it felt like satisfying at the end. But I do agree, like kind of during, I was like, is this really like?
Well,
I don't know. Like this other storyline was way better. Like this other part of the movie was way better.
I feel like it naturally takes on an episodic sort of structure, just because like it's all sort of decentralized. All the characters are off doing their own thing. So they could have. I feel like if they would have maybe if Tarantino, I mean, I guess he was explicit about sort of switching in between the narratives, but like if it was less a movie and more like 30 minutes of these contained narratives, I feel like that could have been a maybe more interesting way. Because I understand it does feel too long.
It's really interesting. Like it's edited the way it is. In a really fascinatingly way, where we start the movie with what becomes the end scene at the end of the movie. We see John Travolta's death in the middle of the movie, but we go back and we bounce back and forth a lot. And I would be interested in seeing this in order and a more cohesive narrative, just to see what happened. One after the other, like actually unfolded in the way that it was supposed to. And you can't do that because like if we end the movie with Bruce Willis and Marcellus, it's kind of like, what were we doing here? You had to end up cutting it back to Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta. That had to be the end of the movie somehow. So like it was just
probably is an edited version like online where it's just all put in chronological order. I wonder if that does exist. That'd be interesting to watch.
Because they pull up to the bar at the beginning of the movie in those outfits, and those outfits are the outfits they had to change into after they got blood all over their clothes, after they spattered a dude's brains all over the car, and that was at the end of the movie. But so the storyline that we watch throughout the movie kind of takes place after that. So it's like,
I guess there's an article that goes through every single big event in order, but maybe not like an actual edited version or like a re-upload.
Yeah, they kind of show you exactly what was supposed to, what happened in what order.
The feet thing does definitely change the whole first bit of this movie, because the way that the feet are written about just seem to, the jokes are too a little too colloquial for my sense.
No, yeah, Leonardo, you can tell. Quentin Tarantino was like, "I'm gonna defend myself here through the means of Vincent Vega." There's something intimate about touching another woman's feet. There's something about it. It's like and John Travolta's voice throughout the entire movie. He's got this whole thing going on where he's kind of, I don't know. Yeah, knowing Tarantino has a foot fetish and then kicking this movie off with them talking about rubbing a woman's feet, and he got Samuel L. Jackson's ass there for a second though. He was like, "Would you rub a man's feet?" He said,
"True,
motherfucker,
it ain't."
No.
See, yeah, it's I don't know. I think it's just hilarious. Like there's a clip of Leonardo. I don't know what award show it is, but he won something for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Or was it Brad Pitt? Maybe it was Brad Pitt. No, yeah, it was Brad Pitt, not Leonardo. But then he says, thank you to my co-stars. How am I blanking on her name? Holy crap. Wolf of Wall Street. Beautiful. Margot Robbie. Yeah, thanks to Margot Robbie, Margot Robbie's feet. And then he just kept listing everyone else's feet that were in the movie. And then the camera just showed Tarantino, and he was just like, looking like kind of pissed off, like, really, dude, you're exposing me like this. But it's like, I don't know. It feels pretty obvious if you've watched his movies.
Oh no, yeah. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is basically a foot montage.
Oh my god,
for 3 hours. She Margot Robbie straight up puts her feet up at the movie theater, and it's like half the screen is her feet.
Jeez.
Oh my god,
that's that's just like. That's so weird. That's kind of like he's just, I don't know. I guess he makes good movies.
It's like
he makes good movies.
Weird knowing it's a fetish, and they're in anytime he does it in his movies, it can be perceived as something he was like, yeah.
He just wants it.
Yeah.
You know? It's not necessary at all, but he just wants it to be in his movies.
Hey, and like no shame to whoever's into that. You know, like that's absolutely not what I'm getting at. It's plenty of folks out there with foot fetishes, and y'all get to.
It's a gene. It's literally a gene.
Yeah,
like,
y'all do you. I'm gonna do me. I frankly don't get it, and I don't mean to be offensive, but like it's just it is kind of funny whenever Tarantino puts a bunch of feet on screen, knowing he was behind the camera shooting the scenes. Like, yes.
And yeah, that's another part of the movie that is kind of just bleh with me is Tarantino's role in the movie. Like, he just got on and seemed a little too comfortable with what he was saying and how.
Hey, let's say,
just,
yeah. I saw a tweet once that was like it was a tweet, and it was a four pictures. You know, it was like Mark Wahlberg, Tarantino, and there was a couple other guys. I think it was like Papa John and someone else, and it was like, put these four in a room. Who says it first?
Ooh. Wait, it was Tarantino, Papa John. Who were the others?
And Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, okay.
It's like Tarantino. He's certainly a bit too comfortable with the N-word. If we're being for real, it's.
Yeah, I just get the vibes that Tarantino's probably not a super fun guy to hang out with.
Oh, I get the vibes that he's an absolute nightmare of a person.
Yeah.
Like he just. I mean, he makes the movies he makes. So you've got to be a bit pretentious. You know, you got to be a little bit too think a little too highly of yourself, being this auteur who has tapped into a vein of pop culture that nobody else has really hit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I think I'd be willing to bet Tarantino thinks pretty highly of himself.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that his ego is kind of justified with his like success, and that's like it just keeps him in it, and you know, like it just makes him be like, oh, well, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I don't care. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems there's definitely like the Tarantino fans are definitely like the dude bros.
Bros.
I feel like people who are like, I don't know. It's just kind of. I see.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I
that's the thing,
why.
is that like he has great fucking movies. He has undeniably good movies with Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs and Django Unchained. And
series, yeah, no, almost never.
Kill Bills.
Honestly, I'm coming around to Inglourious Bastards might be my favorite Tarantino project, but that's with.
I mean, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I really did love that movie.
I love that one too.
I mean,
it's the only Tarantino flick I think I've seen in theaters, which is cool. But in Reservoir Dogs, there's a character played by Michael Madsen, whose name is Vic Vega. And there was an idealized sequel to the movies Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, in which Vincent Vega and Vic Vega were brothers. And so like that was the crossover there, is that he had two movies where he was going to create his own little movie universe with the with the Vegas.
Interesting. Yeah, wow. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I for the first like classic Tarantino movie that I've seen of his, I mean, I see why people like his movies. Like, this is, I mean, definitely a good movie. It has an 8.9 on IMDb. I mean, that's
hey, it's very beautifully shot, really well acted. Soundtrack kind of slaps. I mean, I love when they at the like the 50s themed diner. Now do the twist.
Interesting. Interesting pattern amongst the male rating and the female rating.
About a half point higher in every regard for the males.
Wonder why in this movie. Couldn't really pinpoint it. But man, I don't know. I off of one watch, I mean, this is definitely a movie I'm going to revisit. That's for sure. I think I will watch again at one point. And I think on a second watch could be cool, knowing that like there really is no plot and that it is just like this collection.
Yeah, the
of
first time
events
you watch
happening.
it, it's kind of like, wait, what am I watching?
Yeah, I was kind of. I'm like, is this getting to something? Like, am I missing something? Like, I've heard so many great things about this movie, but like, it's going nowhere, but also somewhere at the same time. But I have no idea where. Yeah, and it's like, but I don't know. It's like the experience. It's a whole different kind of movie. I don't know. It's just a different experience that you don't really get with any other movie that I've seen.
Yeah, that's why I was real excited to revisit it. I was like, because I think it's either the second or third time I watched it. I have not watched this movie a lot. And I mean, I don't know. I usually I rewatch a movie and it enhances, but I rewatched this movie and I stayed roughly the same on it. It's not like I was much more wowed by it the first time I watched it than I am now.
Yeah.
We've talked about this many times on the podcast. Like I'm a very story-driven entertainment and enjoyer. Like that's how I got to be in the story for me to really, really fuck with what you've got going on. And if you don't have a story, it's going to be a little tougher for me. You had pretty visuals, you had really good acting, you had some exciting sequences, but if it's not tied together by anything, for real, it's going to be rough.
The Bible verse that Samuel L. Jackson said every time before he killed someone, and and at the end he was like, I just thought it was some badass shit to say before I killed someone or before I like shot someone in the face or something like that. And then he said, like, if you heard that, you would have been dead, like right now or whatever. Like that whole
Ezekiel 25 through 17.
Yep.
Fun fact. Whenever Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury is assassinated in The Winter Soldier, or so we believe, his tombstone appears with the words Ezekiel 25 through 17, the path of the righteous man.
That's awesome.
Damn.
Yeah, he said, I just thought it was a cold-blooded thing to say to a motherfucker before I popped a cap in his ass. Like, I mean, it was. That's exactly what it was. Like, whenever I saw it.
And if there was any character who had something of a story, it was Jules. Like the way he was like, yo, I should have died just now. You see those 4 bullet holes all around me? Like, I don't know how that happened. It's like he came to Jesus in that moment and was like,
he's like, experience this. I want you to remember and acknowledge this. Like, oh man, I don't know. Like, he had an arc. Like
I loved his interaction with Vincent there at the end in the restaurant where he's like, what constitutes an act of God? And he's like, well, it's like it's a miracle. And he's like, well, I felt God. That's an act of God. It don't matter. It doesn't matter how big or how small it is. It's like, if I felt God in the moment, it's an act of God. And I was like, okay, I can fuck with that.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot about Marvin. Oh, I shot Marvin in the face. Like,
yes.
Oh, come on. Poor Marvin, man.
What the fuck's happening, man? Oh, shit, man. Oh, man, I shot Marvin in the face. Why the fuck did you do that? Well, I didn't mean to do it. It was an accident. Man, I've seen some crazy ass shit in my time.
It was like that scene where I'm like, is this movie trying to tell me something? And then you just think about it and you're like, no, I think he just accidentally shot Marvin in the face.
Just accidentally shot Marvin. Marvin is actually played by Phil Lamar, who you are more familiar with than you'd think. He's a pretty prominent voice actor, and he was actually in the Book of Boba as the boss of the Pikes. He was the one who was posted up in there. Phil Lamar there as Marvin. He's a very talented man. Right to the right.
No, I'm trying to find who played the wolf. Is that what his character name was? The guy who like made them all clean up super fast and drove the
Harvey Keitel. Yes, Harvey Keitel.
Was that the
he
wolf?
Actually is.
Is that what?
Yeah,
is that what he was
his second.
There?
Yeah, that was his second appearance on our 52-year journey through film. Actually, Harvey Keitel's. His last one was 18 weeks ago. On Taxi Driver. He was he was Sport. He was the guy that Robert De Niro kills at the door. He was the pimp who held on to Jodie Foster's
Wow.
arm and pulled him out of the car. But yeah,
Yeah,
Harvey Keitel.
he was. I don't know. He was so cool in this. Like,
How do you like
so
your
on
coffee?
time.
Lots of cream, lots of sugar.
I'll be there in 10 minutes. And the time is 9 minutes and 37 seconds later or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, like he's so precise. That dude's on a schedule.
How far is it away? 30 minutes. I'll be there in 10. Like, I was like, what? How's that even possible?
Dude goes, he goes quick.
It's not possible to make up that much time unless you have the Batmobile.
He's the wolf. Don't
He is the
underestimate
wolf.
that man.
Don't question it. The path of a righteous man is beset on all sides. God, I love Samuel L. Jackson. Jules Winfield is definitely one of his strongest characters, I'd say.
Oh yeah.
And there is a full version of the movie in chronological order, by the way, just on Reddit.
On Reddit. Wow, I might have to watch that.
So,
You're gonna send that link? In
yeah,
the group
2 hours and 30. Yeah, I'll send it. Gotcha.
Fascinating.
Yeah, so it does exist.
Damn, that scene's coming in the middle of the movie. That's crazy.
In there, and I'll send it.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out then. I'm interested. I want to see what it's all about. But
oh yeah, duh. Yeah, because they go to that apartment right away, so that they would have shot Marvin like directly after that. They're on the leaving that apartment, and that's when he shoots Marvin in the face. So like,
yeah,
and then the wolf would come, and like all that would happen like at the very beginning, and then the robbery at the diner, that whole the end scene, and then John Travolta goes on his drug trip and his date.
Huh.
Well, and this shows you why it's formatted the way you do, because otherwise the last hour of the movie is about Bruce Willis.
Yeah. Yeah, because then after the date, she overdoses.
We'll have to talk about Uma Thurman
here in a
second.
And then is it Bruce Willis the whole way?
The whole way until he kills John Travolta.
Yep. Wow.
Huh.
That's crazy.
But I almost feel like that's more of a coherent narrative arc when it's put in a chronological order. Like, it's like they had a movie that they could have put in chronological order, and then they just simply decided not to.
And I gotta guess it's because the Bruce Willis shit would have just been like, what? We're an hour and 45 minutes into this movie, and now the main character is someone else?
But that's kind of awesome. That could have been interesting.
No, that's also that seems like a very Tarantino-ass thing to do, and this would have been a Tarantino-ass last act. Like, I don't know. I wonder what the motivation behind the decision to cut the movie they did. I wonder why it was made that way.
Hilarious the way John Travolta died. Like, he was just left the Uzi on the counter and
and it showed. I thought it was funny rewatching this movie that like they show you him die before they show Samuel L. Jackson say he's done. He's done being in the game. So like I think the implication here is that like he's used to having a partner around. He doesn't have to watch his back when he goes to the bathroom. He comes out of the bathroom, he dies. Wish he would have still had Jules. Which is like, damn, bro, it's just kind of bleak.
Where does the scene where Marcellus, or like you're first introduced to Bruce Willis, happen in this cut? Where he's with, I think that's when he's with Marcellus.
Oh, that'd be towards the beginning. That'd be towards when they go visit him at the. It's after this. It's after they get changed because they go into the bar.
So it's after the.
Yeah, it's
after the diner.
I actually think it might be before the diner. Not sure though. Maybe I'm tripping.
Yeah,
no, they go straight to
the diner.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it'd be right after the diner. Yeah, there.
So an hour into the movie, you would have gotten introduced to Bruce Willis's character
in chronological order. Yeah, an hour in, and then.
Man, I need to watch this movie cut like this.
Yeah, honestly, I'm feeling like
I'm looking at it like this, and I'm like, I think I'd enjoy this. Like, I need like and maybe that's just Quentin Tarantino going, "Fuck yourself, dude."
Yeah, Christopher Walken up in here too, explaining the story, how he kept the watch up his
I
ass
watched my ass.
for 8 years, or I don't know, forever, how long, 2 years or whatever.
Your dad died in the prison camp. Dysentery.
Hey, at least Bruce Willis kind of went through war to get it back, At least it was a little. He went through something, to get it back, which was kind of cool. I guess,
man.
Something to it, but
I'm just like I don't. Was Butch? Yeah, it's just there just really isn't much of a point, It is just a series of events.
Yeah.
And like you try to project meaning onto things where there isn't meaning, and maybe that's kind of what it's about. Much to think about. But I think my favorite part of the movie, far and away, is oh man, I shot Marvin in the face.
Yeah.
That's too strong. But let's talk some Uma Thurman real quick. Mia Wallace. That's a really interesting role in this movie. I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, I immediately fell in love with Uma Thurman. Like I thought she's an awesome actress, super badass, super fucking attractive, and this time around I watched her pull that heroin out of his coat jacket, and I'm like, no.
That is not what you think it is.
Don't snort that shit.
Don't do that ever.
Don't just find powder and snort it.
In heroin. That's like there's a line for drugs and heroin. That's just past the line.
Far past the line.
Yeah, and I think it's maybe with gasoline or whatever, so it's probably going to get way more expensive. Anyways, so just get out of it now.
It's probably going to jack up the price. Gas prices rising means heroin price rising.
Sorry to tell you, folks. But that's how the world works.
Man, heroin's a fucking $7 a gallon out here.
$7 a gallon.
That wouldn't be bad.
For some heroin?
I mean, it's probably like I have zero clue of street value of heroin, so I couldn't even begin to guess. But yeah, Uma Thurman, she did badass in this. She's Poison Ivy in Batman and Robin, so I got a soft spot for her in my heart. Kill Bill, she's that bitch.
That's nuts. Yeah, I've only seen Kill Bill like when I was like 7 or 6, so I really haven't even seen Kill Bill.
I think we will get to there. I think those are our 2003 2003.
Yeah,
hey, we could follow up 2004 with Kill Bill Part 2 because that's open too. I mean, The Notebook and Hotel Rwanda.
Hotel Rwanda made it onto the list.
I don't know, man. You check out 2004 and tell me what you think.
I am kind of interested in what came out in 2004.
Well, now I'm thinking it's got to be Kill Bill Part 2, so we can follow up Kill Bill in 2003. But
there we go. We'll figure it out.
But yeah, shit, guys. I'm not gonna cap with you.
It's a lock.
This movie doesn't warrant a lot of discussion.
No, it really doesn't. Oh, by the way, I've heard Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is one of Jim Carrey's. Yeah, Jim Carrey's like best films. I haven't watched it, but it's like not a comedy.
No, it's definitely not a comedy.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's some of the most heart-wrenching shit I've ever watched in my life.
Yeah, Shrek 2 came out in 2004, so that will be insta-locked.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is like second most heart-wrenching shit of all time behind Shrek 2.
Damn. Behind Shrek 2.
That's amazing.
I've not seen Shrek still.
I mean, we can go Mean Girl. You haven't seen Shrek?
No, No, Shrek was $430 million. The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, $34 million. Shrek blew that out of the water. Shrek was the biggest movie of the year by far. It looks like. Spider-Man 2 came out. Oh, nope, Shrek still beat it.
Damn, Spider-Man 2.
Holy crap. It beat The Incredibles. It beat Harry Potter. Holy crap it. Man, Shrek. Who would have thought? National Treasure, the best movie of all time, came out in 2004. Dodgeball.
Oh, that's legendary. But hey, listen to this. Since we talking grosses and box office numbers and shit, so the budget for this movie, Pulp Fiction, was $8 million, and $5 million of that was paying the actors.
Wow.
It worldwide grossed $213 million. So it profited $205 million.
Is that adjusted, or is that at that time? Like, is that...
I don't know if it's adjusted. I think it's... I'm just looking at it on IMDb.
Yeah, I wonder what in 94...
Yeah, that's interesting to think about. How much is $213 million in 1994 now?
It's worth 1.19. So, if well, what's the number?
What's the number?
Oh,
tell me, damn you!
If the 213 million is not adjusted, it would be. Oh wait, it'd be about 409 million today.
Wow.
So almost Shrek 2.
Almost Shrek 2.
Still not Shrek 2.
That's fucking insane. We adjusted for inflation and still not as much as Shrek 2
we
in 2004.
Adjusted for inflation.
That's nuts. And I wonder if that Shrek 2 number is... that's probably not adjusted either from 2004. So
that's fucking
so there
funny.
you go. Shrek is like 500 mil.
That's still 10 weeks away. We'll get there. We'll get to 04 one day. But shit, guys, I think I might be ready for the ratings section of this pod. I don't have much else to say on Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not one you can talk a lot about. I don't think
we could do a scene by scene breakdown and tell you what we think is happening.
Exactly. Let's do a live commentary one day and just sit there going, "Wait, what?" So, in terms of enjoyment, break it down for the people. If you've been here the whole week, you're probably more well versed in what our rating system is now than ever. 5 stars in 3 separate categories: in enjoyment, in how it fulfills its genre, and just how great of a film it was to us. We combine that for an average score out of 5 stars, and that's that. So we'll start with enjoyment as we usually do. Where are you sitting here in terms of enjoyment?
I mean, it's very enjoyable, but not the whole way through in a certain sense, because there are parts of it where you're just like, just due to confusion, like you're feeling like you have to do some work to watch this movie, and that's never enjoyable.
No, it's not. I'd say that I enjoy a good hour and a half of this movie's runtime.
Yeah, I was just begging pretty much the whole time for Samuel L. Jackson to come back on screen, and whenever that happened,
that's my thing.
It was really good.
Is that there's a whole half of the movie where, like, the story I care about is not on screen, and that sucks.
I'd say like 4 is like the ceiling. Like, yeah. I'd say I wouldn't even go high. I wouldn't go higher than 4 for enjoyment.
I wouldn't either.
I'm thinking maybe like 3.5. I'm kind of middle of the road. Or
I'd be comfortable going.
Road, but...
Yeah, I'd be comfortable going 3.75, even up to 4. Like because it is a good looking movie. It is really well acted. I like the cast. It is really interestingly shot, and it does keep me. Nevertheless, like it.
True.
So there is a degree of enjoyment, but there's plenty of the movie that I'm just not that interested in. So like I'd go 3.75.
I like that. I like 3.75.
That works for me.
And then as it fulfills its genre, and I'd argue that if we're really, really trying to get down to it, Google the definition of a pulp fiction.
Didn't they said it during? Is that the opening or not opening. I think it's like in the movie they say it in one scene. I think fiction dealing with lurid,
yeah.
Or sensational subjects, often printed on rough, low-quality paper manufactured from wood or pulp. Is that that's like the literal? I feel like there's like a more metaphorical definition than that.
Well, it's like the type of storytelling it is. It's just really, really brash, violent crime.
Yeah. This seems more like books about imagery or imaginary characters and events produced in large quantities and intended to be read by people, but not considered to be of very good quality.
There you go.
Wait,
that's a
what
good
the
definition for this.
Of Pulp Fiction is?
That's a good definition for the movie.
Yeah.
As well as I mean, I guess, yeah, I don't know. That's
imaginary characters and events intended to be watched by many people, but not considered of the best quality. And that's where I'm sitting right now. I think in terms of its fulfillment of what it's going for, the title of the movie is Pulp Fiction. I have no questions it did exactly what it wanted to do. Regardless of how well I feel about it, I think Tarantino did exactly what he intended to do. So I can't take away from it too much, If we're going on the crime drama side of things, in terms of the crime, that's pretty high up, but the drama side of it, I don't really like. Drama for me comes from a good story, a cohesive narrative that emotionally draws at me. So genre fulfillment, I go 4.5, 4.25.
I could see that. And I mean, I think it's something to be said that we're most people work through talking about this movie without understanding what the definition of Pulp Fiction is, I guess.
Right.
If that wants to factor in.
I think for, I don't know, 4 or 5 seemed right to me. But
right, 4, then I'm there with that.
4.25 could seem more right, though. I don't know. That I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between those two.
4.3.
4.35. Meet me in the middle.
Oh,
get
maybe
crazy.
We shall. We just did it. We got crazy. We went there.
We did that. But overall, as a film, where are we sitting? I think this is probably the best category for it.
Yeah. It's unique.
Really well. Yeah.
Very unique. There's
incredibly
really nothing
impactful,
else like it.
Iconic. Incredibly well acted, very well shot. I can gripe about an incohesive narrative, but that's not what it was trying to do. So it succeeded in what it was attempting, and therefore, I don't know. I feel like it's got to be pretty. It's got to be pretty decent. Maybe a 4.5, 4.6, somewhere in that range.
I was thinking 4.5 is the floor. 4.5 would be the floor. I think 4.75 might be a little too high.
That's where I was.
But I don't know. I kind of 4.6. We're kind of getting crazy with it. We usually stick to 0.25 intervals, but I don't know. I like how we're getting a little crazy with it. I'm down
if there's any movie to get crazy with, it's Pulp Fiction.
That's true. It kind of fits. That would round it out to a 4.23. Let's see what that puts it around. A 4.42 for A Clockwork Orange, a 4.25 for American Graffiti. So it is barely below American Graffiti.
Right. We have Dumb and Dumber higher than Pulp Fiction.
That's amazing.
Hey, it's that enjoyment shit.
Ace Ventura is even above Pulp Fiction.
It's that enjoyment rating, man. Yep. You got to be high in enjoyment or else you're going to get fucked.
4.7 for Aliens, so 4.6 for Terminator. So these are better, like a half a point better or more. 4.5 Apocalypse Now. So it's in 36 Chamber Shaolin, 4.45. So
its closest companion though is American Graffiti, which is
Mhm.
I feel pretty good about that.
So it's lower than a 4
Yeah.
too. Not much. That's close. Let's see.
Scarface, Spaceballs, MASH.
3.5 for Mask. Yeah, Scarface, Blade Runner, and MASH, and that's it.
Taxi Driver.
Yep. So, but yeah, I feel like it's around where it should be. Like American Graffiti. That's a pretty good comparable movie, I'd say.
In terms of how much I enjoyed it
Mhm.
and its critical appeal, I'd say so. Definitely not the same kind of movie. Definitely not.
Not what I was meaning there. In
No,
ratings wise, it made sense.
I'm with you.
But yeah, yeah.
But no, yeah, I feel pretty good about this. 4.23 out of 5 stars. It's still an 8.4 out of 10. Still a pretty high rated movie. We're pretty loving on most movies, so 4.23 seems low, but it's pretty fucking high.
Yeah, if we follow the trend for the rest of the week with these last 2 movies, for the is it the 90s
Shawshank
total? It would round this month out to a 4.48, which is a pretty good month. It's our
second best.
Pretty average. Yeah, pretty. Looks like right in the middle with the other months, but a pretty well performing month so far. That's for sure. The Mask was the only thing that kind of dipped a little bit below, but we have we got Shawshank left, and then whatever we decide for 95.
Yeah, it's gonna be it'll be fun to round out the month of June here with tomorrow we'll be covering Shawshank to complete the week of 1994. Covered one movie per day this week from the year 1994. It was a lot of fun. We went Lion King, Ace Ventura, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, Pulp Fiction. Oh, tomorrow is Forrest Gump, and then Saturday will be Shawshank Redemption. So we got to round out this week with Forrest Gump and Shawshank, and that'll be that. But I look forward to that immensely, and cannot wait. But yeah, with that, we conclude this episode of the Penny Bloom Podcast. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you. Thank you very much, Tavarus Pennington.
Of course. Great to be here once again.
Oh, and it was so great to have you. If you would, head to patreon.com/CoroBloom, where you'll find well over 24 hours of exclusive content at this point. All that money goes back into making sure I can put this podcast on. It costs money. I don't make any unless it's there on Patreon. So go ahead and send some money there. I mean, I do make money. I have a job, but I don't make money off the podcast. Yeah, it's a huge help there.
You're living off of the massive.
Yeah, I'm living off the $10 a month on Patreon. But follow on Twitter at PennyBloomPod. Follow on Instagram at PennyBloomPodcast. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And if my answers frighten you, then you should cease asking scary questions.